Nice. What's going on, guys? Welcome to mikeybalzz Fishing. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You guys know this guy. That's Tyler Woolcott, pro fisherman extraordinaire. He probably thinks I'm making fun of him, but I think he's a pretty cool guy. I really respect what he does because he made his own path. Like, I say that a lot and I emphasize it, but it means something, dude. When you go out and you freaking do what you're passionate about and make it happen, that has more meaning than anybody ever giving things like to you. Like, totally. Keep that in mind. So today I got a little treat for you. Kind of an edumacation video, and I did say edumacation. Go to the library and get an edumacation. What we're gonna do is, a lot of people will put messages on my Facebook, on my Instagram, all that stuff, and definitely message me. I love talking to you guys. But they're like, hey, what do I need? I'm coming to Florida in February. I'm coming to Florida in March. I'm coming to Florida in May. What do I need to have tied on? What kind of setups? Like, what kind of rods and reels? Like, if I got like 5 things, what do I need? So to not be like super biased, because I have certain things that I think you need, I got Tyler. And Tyler is a pro fisherman. I am busting his balls a little bit. But he's a pro, dude, and he's traveled around a lot, so he knows what works in Florida. He grew up down here. I did not. I just kind of came down here to fish. So he's going to throw some at you, tell you exactly what you need for Florida, and I'm going to throw some at you too. And it might create an interesting conversation because we'll probably have some disagreements and some agreements. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But edumacation video coming right up. What the? Why? What? Who even throws that, dude? Our feature character for the day. Bog. Don't run away. Guys, if you don't like and subscribe for me, do it for this guy. This poor pit bull. Oh my God, he was in jail. I should actually show you the picture of when I got him out of jail. He looked so freaking sad. But let's talk fishing, right? All right, Tyler, so here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna go through kind of your like 5 picks of setups. Here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to get crazy like in depth. I wanna keep it basic. I wanna just say basic rod, basic line. Don't even have to do reel speed or anything like that, but basic rod, basic line, and a bait. You know, what do you need kind of deal. So I'm gonna have you shoot 2 of them off, and then I'm gonna shoot 2 off, okay?
All right, so first thing when you come to Florida in like January, February, March, I'm always gonna have a worm tied on. That's a good search bait. You can cast it around, and I like to throw it on fluorocarbon, probably around 15 to 20 pound. Depends on if you're throwing it around heavy cover or if you're just casting it to like isolated stuff. But that's what I like to throw. I like to throw that worm, and I mean, if he comes by a bed or comes by a fish just staging out there on something, tend to pick up that worm. It tends to get a lot of bites.
What's your second one?
My second one is another search bait, is chatterbait. I like to throw it on braid. Some people like to throw it on fluorocarbon. But I mean, I like throwing on braid because in Florida there's a lot of thicker grass, and I don't know, with the fluorocarbon, sometimes you rip it out of that grass and the fish will eat it, and you don't really feel them eat it. But with this braid, when they eat it, it's just like a boom, you know they got it. Yeah, but on the back of that thing, I like to put a little Gambler Lures Easy Swimmer, and that tail back there drives me crazy.
Sick. That looks cool.
It's a good color.
Tyler, so this is kind of where, you know, everybody's got their own worm rod, so we're not going to focus on that. What action, length, etc. on that chatterbait rod are you using?
Well, when I throw it on braid, this is a 7.2. This is actually a 7.2 heavy. I mean, it's got a little bit of tip, but not much. It's a pretty heavy action rod. But I kind of actually fish this chatterbait like a swim jig. Like most people would throw a swim jig on it, but it works out for me. I don't normally miss them too much, and when they eat it, you know it.
All right, we're already on the same page because I have a worm tied up too. I do it a little bit different, and I actually like Tyler's approach because you can use it in 2 different ways, but let me show you what I got. I got a 7'2", it's been used. It's a worm rod, 7'2", 20-pound fluorocarbon. Actually, this might be 18-pound fluorocarbon, but you get the idea. I have a Gambler Fat Ace on there, 5/16 weight, just an offset hook. It's some owner 4-aught wide gap plus that I like. Bobber stopper on there if you can see through there. Now, here's what I like about Tyler's approach. This is for casting to places and dragging back. So you can throw it to a little reed clump, you can throw it to a pad clump. Tyler's, you can throw it to a pad clump, but then you can swim it back, thus covering more water. Tyler, and it's a burner worm, yeah. So it's like a swimming worm. So you can cover more water with that. I kind of like Tyler's approach. At the same time, though, I really like this setup. Like, dude, when you have fish like spawning near pads, or if there's little like shell places in between cane, this is the deal. I 100% agree with him, though. Fluorocarbon. You gotta, these days with the pressure that Florida lakes get, you have to have 1 or 2 fluorocarbon rods on the deck for dragging and for more nuanced presentations, let's call them. I don't want to make this too much about agreement, but I gotta agree with him too. You got to have a chatterbait tied on these days. I don't care what kind it is. Ironically, I also have an easy swim bait on the back. Mine's a little bigger. I'm using an easy swimmer. We actually found some bigger fish on kind of like this shallow, swampy hydrilla lake, and I wanted a little bigger presentation. But I too agree with the braid. Now, here's what I'm going to throw in caveat wise. I have braid. I have a trap on it right now, which is actually something we're going to talk about too. This is my chatterbait rod. My chatterbait rod's one of those cash-ins. It's like a 7.2. It's a fairly moderate action, which means it has a lot of bend to it. So I don't kind of subscribe to what Tyler's talking about with a super stiff rod. I like almost, it's kind of like a heavy crankbait rod, and then I put the braid on it, and then that braid kind of makes it a faster rod, if you will. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically that softer rod, that more moderate bend, absorbs shock because they smash this, dude. When you're running that chatterbait and you rip it off, dude, they freaking inhale it, and sometimes you'll miss bites when you do use a stiffer rod. Obviously, Tyler's cool with that. I like a little softer rod. It makes me feel more comfortable. 7.2, say a medium heavy, but more of a moderate action. A moderate simply means the rod bends more in the middle. You like that? How about that?
Like you said, Mikey, this rod is heavy, but when you put the braid on it, the tip, I mean, you got, like you said, the tip does move a little bit more with the braid than if you were to put flourocarbon or something on this rod. But when I do throw chatterbait on flourocarbon, I do like a little bit more of a rod with a bend in it, just so when they do eat it, you get a nice load up in it, and it really gets the hook in them better.
And that is the trick too. All these things, like anything in fishing, there is no one rule. Like, I'll start with the braid. It's easier to fish. You can fish it faster. You can cover more water. You don't have to worry about breaking stuff off if you're fishing around heavy cover. But if I get on a chatterbait bite, like where they're just chewing it, I will 100% have a fluorocarbon rod for a chatterbait and a braid rod. And I will throw that fluorocarbon rod to more open areas. Sometimes I'll throw it in a little thicker, but I'll throw it to more open areas, and then I'll use that braid one in the thicker stuff. You just got to be adaptable. All right, Tyler, we're making progress, and we're doing it pretty fast, but I'm also talking really fast. People tell me that I'm on drugs when I'm talking this fast. Do you know why I'm actually talking this fast? It's so that you don't have to watch and listen to me for 15 to 45 minutes. I'm not on drugs, people. Tyler, where are you going, bro? Bro! Tyler's getting a secret bait. This is what I'm talking about. All right, Tyler's going to show us his third bait of choice. But here's what we're going to do. He says it's a secret. You can see him like that. He's going to give me 2 clues, and I'm going to try to guess it. All right, go ahead. What's your first clue?
You can cast it or you can flip it.
I got nothing. Give me a second clue.
It's round in shape.
You can cast it or you can flip it, and it's round in shape. Any guesses? Tyler, what's the secret bait?
It's a Cinco.
How is that round? That's cylindrical. Come on, dude. Unbelievable. Really? All right, tell me about it. Why do you need it? What do you use it for?
Well, you already had the approach to casting a Cinco to isolate stuff, but another way I like to throw a Cinco in this time of year is to flip it, and like flip it to isolated stuff. When you know fish are in an area, you really want to pick it apart. I actually flip it on braid and flip it into the heavy stuff. Kind of like when you, say you come up to a group of pad and there's like a hole in it or something like that, you can flip the Cinco in there with braid, where if you flipped it in there with fluorocarbon, it'd be really hard to get those fish out. But something about this Cinco with that black and blue tip that Gambler makes, it works really well this time of year.
Tyler, 100% agree. Real quick, what length rod is that and what action?
This is actually a 7.6 heavy action
7.6 heavy, so it's your standard flipping rod,
yep,
basically.
Exactly.
Cool. Tyler, what's your number 4?
Number 4 is a bait I like to use a lot when I can, but this is a punch rig. This is actually, at the moment, it's a 2-ounce weight with a Gambler Y knot. And when the fish are staging and the weather's kind of iffy, it's cold, the fish aren't biting too well, I like to find like isolated mats and thick grass and flip this in there. And usually them fish, when it's cold and they're wanting to spawn but they can't yet, they get under the mats, and it's hard to beat a big way and a Y knot. This
is going to get interesting because I'm about to say the same thing in a slightly different way. But Tyler, I want to know what length rod that is. The action's going to be extra heavy in general. That's just what they are. But what length rod are you using to punch?
This rod is a 7.9.
I love you. I love you. We're going to talk about why I love him in a minute. That's really kind of weird. And this poor guy is like seriously down a dirt road, like freaking 12 miles from any real population. And I'm telling him I love him. That's cute. 5 years ago, I would have never said this in my life. Literally, never said this. But if you are coming to Florida, there is one bait that I would have tied on right now. And it's not a punch rig. It's so sad. Thank you, FWC. It's this thing. And you can see that it is used. It is a trap. I don't care what brand it is. It's a rattle trap. This is a Red Eye Shad. Excalibur used to make some sick ones, but I think they're gone. You know, it's classic rattle trap, Bill Lewis. A 1/2 ounce trap. Now, you can use a 1/4. You can use a 3/4. A 1/2 ounce trap right now in Florida, I don't care what lake you're on, will catch fish. Like, and it catches fish from November, December, October, January, March. Dead of summer, it will catch fish. Now, the big trick with this, though, is what do you put it on? We were fishing some grass today, and oftentimes I'm ripping this out of grass. It's one of my favorite bites when it comes to like an active kind of casting bite. So since I'm ripping grass, I'm going to use braid. It just makes it easier to fish when you're around that hydrilla and submerged eelgrass and that. However, I will put it on fluorocarbon, especially when they're kind of weird biters or you're on a pressured lake. 15, maybe 17-pound fluorocarbon. I'll rarely go lighter than that. But if you're ripping grass, do it on braid. But seriously, a trap right now, and it's sad too, just something with gold on it, maybe gold and black. Like, you cannot beat it in Florida. It is a standard, and you need it. And it will catch fish. Come down here, I guarantee it, try it. One little key too here, just like the chatterbait we were talking about, I'm gonna use a moderate action rod. This is like a medium heavy, it's a 7.2, kind of a utility rod. I think it's the Cashin, 7.3, I'm sorry, it's a 7.3 medium heavy, but it has a more moderate bend. And basically what that does, since this is, you know, a crankbait essentially, you know, you want the rod to load up a little more, have a little more bend to it when those fish hit it, so you're not pulling the hooks out when you set the hook. I wouldn't be in my right damn mind at all if I didn't say a punch rig. Sadly, you really don't need it as much because they've killed a lot of the hydrilla and the floating mats on all our Great Lakes, Kissimmee, Okeechobee. I mean, the list goes on. It's really disgusting what's happening down here. If you want to change something, send emails to the FWC. I highly recommend it because it's literally just destroying our lakes, killing our fish, and it's screwing up fishing. Because we have a good time. It's our release, you know, getting out there and doing this. And people that wreck that got no place managing the thing that we love. The punch rig that I have, this is a Hogtech 1.5 ounce tungsten. If you have one set up to punch mats, 1.5 is good. But always keep in mind, you can punch just about anything. So you can punch cane, you can punch pads, kind of like what Tyler was talking about with punching the pads with that 1/2 ounce or so. Any kind of weight, just use the weight, you know, size that's applicable to the situation you're in. Try to stay as light as possible. That's the one key. Now, here's one trick and one key that I'll throw you. Punching mats, straight shank hook, snell knot. Go back and watch one of my oldest videos. It's got like 270,000 views, and it's all about tying a snell knot. You can learn how to do it. Do it. You need to know. Now, if you're punching pads and stuff like that, I'd highly recommend a different hook. I don't know if I got one. If you're punching pads, use a hook like that, an offset shank hook. You will lose less fish, and you will hang up less. My recommendation, personal recommendation. All right, Tyler, I want to ask you one more thing, and then I'm going to cheat. I'm going to share a 6th bait because I've kind of fallen in love with it, and it's super old school, and it's kind of secret without being a secret. But Tyler, one thing I want to ask you about, you have these really cool looking rods, and you told me kind of the actions on them, but tell me what makes these rods different than some of the other stuff that like I'm using, like the Powells and the Dobbins and stuff like that.
Well, these rods are actually from Mudhole. This is a MHX, all my rods these are MHX blanks. And what's cool about them is they're fully custom. So you go online, you order custom grips, custom thread, whatever guides you'd like, and you can build them how you like. So if you like your guides spaced out a certain way, or you like a certain amount of guides on a rod, you like your handles spread apart a certain amount, you can build it how you like it. And like this punch rod, I have, look at this one. This one has rattlesnake skin on it.
That is cool, dude.
I have it's all balanced. I have a weight down here in the butt. And this rod, this particular rod, my punch rod, it's a 7.9. It's an FP 937 triple X heavy, and this rod is a beast. I've boat flipped 10-pounders, pulled 10-pounders out of mats with this rod, and she's still going strong, so I love it.
Rewind. So rewind real quick. I mentioned there's something I really agree with Tyler on. The 7.95. I think a 7-foot 9-inch rod for punching is the best punching rod ever. I like that Powell Endurance, the old one. The new ones actually are pretty sweet too. But that 7.9 seems like the perfect length where you get a little bit more tip, but you still have the backbone. So keep that in mind if you're ever picking out a punching rod. All right, guys. Secret. I'm going to act like Tyler. Hide it behind me. This is a bait that I've actually fallen in love with down here. We went to this little kind of like grassy pond lake, real small lake, but I missed one of the biggest fish on top water I've ever seen. And right now, with the way the grass is set up and things are kind of open, this style of bait is super on point. Ta-da! Blade bait, dude. So devil's horse, whatever you want to call it, these things catch more giants in Florida than probably punching and all that stuff. It's kind of an old man bait, but let me tell you, it works. And the one key with this thing is don't move it. Literally throw it out there, twitch it once, let it sit for 30 seconds, drink a cup of coffee, have a dip, talk to your buddy for like, you know, about his wife, how hot she is. You got a hot wife. And then move it again. And that's how you get bites. Dude, it's a fun way to fish. It's a super taxing way to fish. But this thing, if you're coming to Florida and you want to catch one on top, you want it to be giant, and you want to have some fun doing it, get a blade bait. It doesn't need to, this is like a balsa bee or something, but a devil's horse, any of those style baits, a prop bait. This is actually a Redemption 7-foot rod too. Once again, with these kinds of like baits, you want like a softer rod. This is a medium heavy, but it has a soft tip to it. I do have it on braid, 50-pound braid, but the rod is super soft, so when they suck it under, you just kind of reel down and go, I got a big one. This is getting out of hand. We're going well beyond 5 baits, but Tyler's going to show you one more and we're going to wrap this thing up. Tyler just said nothing is a secret in Florida, and there couldn't be anything truer. Like, I think that's the way fishing is across the board now. There are no more secrets. It's just who's better at exploiting what we know.
So another bait I like to throw when I know the fish are coming up shallow is a Gambler Big Easy. And I like to burn this thing. I crank it as fast as I can, and if there's fish in the area, they'll come up and they'll absolutely destroy it. I like to throw it on 50-pound braid, 7/6 heavy rod. Pretty much the same rod I was flipping that Cinco with, I was telling you guys about earlier, but it's hard to beat a fish coming up and eating this big old bait. I mean, you'll catch big ones, and I'm telling you, I've caught fish about the size of this swim bait. So throwing a big bait isn't always just lowering your bites. It's just you're getting more big bites.
One little key with that, and then we will wrap this thing up. So I've caught fish like that too, so I'm 100% on board. It's an awesome bite too. But here's the deal. There's a couple little things that you can do that are kind of fun. When you're burning it, stop it every once in a while. Just stop. Like, put up the stop sign. Just kill it, dude. And just wait a second. Oftentimes, you'll actually see a fish boil next to it, around it. And what it does is it almost acts like a fat ace. Not a Cinco, a Cinco, whatever, a stick bait. And it just kind of flutters down, and they will come over. And, dude, you'll go to reel again, and you're like, oh, and freaking set the hook, dude. Just set the hook. The other problem that you have with the Big Easy, and this is just being flat out honest, is they will literally come 3 feet out of the water, body slam it, and miss it. It is the awesomest and worst freaking feeling. Have you had that happen? Like 7 pound, just
Many
go,
times.
Dude, it's epic. So 2 things you can do with that. 1, have a follow-up bait. So a weightless stick bait, a fluke, something that you can get out there, cast to them, and just let it sit there. Even a floating frog, just something that you can get to that exact same place and just let it there. The other thing you can do is when you have a fish blow up like that, get the bait out of there. Miss him, whatever, dude, and get your bait back in there. Don't wait for the next cast. Don't piss around. Don't twiddle your thumbs. Get it back and fire back and focus on like a 5x5 square where that fish blew up, because that fish is committed. If it didn't get the hook, it's still interested, dude. And if it's that active, it's gonna come back and chew. Guys, that's a wrap. I hope this answers some of your questions. If you guys are making a vacation or like a trip to Florida, if you guys have any questions too, hit me up. I'm happy to kind of like help you out. I'm gonna be back to Alabama, obviously, but I'll help you out and let you know kind of my experiences down here. And if it helps you, great. If you catch some fish, great, because that's what I want to see happen. Tyler, thank you. Definitely check this kid out. He is awesome. He is a rookie on the FLW Tour. Follow him on Instagram and give him just some props during the tournaments, dude. That first year is the hardest freaking year, dude. You ain't got no dollars. You don't have much support. He's doing it, and he made it happen. So get on there and give that kid some support. He whooped me on Kissimmee. Whooped me, dude. Tyler, Daps, thanks for coming along. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you enjoy these kinds of edumacation videos when you're at the library, if you enjoy these videos though, support the channel. That's all I'm asking. You guys have been so behind this. You've made this boat happen. You guys have made more videos happen. I really appreciate that because I love freaking doing this. So tight lines. We'll see you next time. We'll probably talk less and cast more. How's that sound? Peace.